The stove is absolutely on fire right now. Literally, as I'm recording this intro, I'm seeing notifications that the Cardinals might be signing Wilson Contreras. Aaron Judge signed this morning. Mitch Haniger is on the San Francisco Giants. Jon Heyman has been being a clown, which is my favorite thing to cover. There is so much craziness going on. We are going to go over every single move that was made in the last day and maybe some moves live as I'm recording this video on today's episode of Hot Stove. What is up, YouTube? It is your boy Adamar Sports here, coming back at you with another MLB Hot Stove video. Today we're going to be covering all of the free agent signings that have happened in the last 24 hours and some that are happening currently. There is a lot going on, but before we get into today's video, I did want to remind you guys to leave a like on the video and let me know what you think of these moves down in the comment section below. We're also going to go over what free agents are left, because it kind of feels like all these big dominoes are falling off the board, but there's still some big talent available, so don't worry if your team hasn't made a big signing yet. We even have teams like the Cleveland Guardians spending money. This hot stove is absolutely insane right now. I did want to give a special shout out to Thrive Fantasy for sponsoring this video. Check them out at the link in my description. Get a 100% deposit match when you deposit at least $10, as well as some free contest entries. Full details are down there in the description, but without further ado, let's start with the biggest move of the offseason so far, and that of course is 2022 AL MVP, asterisk, Aaron Judge. Okay, so Aaron Judge is going to the Yankees on a 9-year, $360 million deal. That's $40 million a year for 9 years. He's 30 years old, so he'll be playing until he's about 40 years old with the New York Yankees, making $40 million a year. A risky signing, but Aaron Judge, let's be honest, if you're the Yankees, you have to sign him. You have to sign him. It was rumored that the locker room was gonna basically revolt against the front office if they didn't sign Aaron Judge. Everybody loves Aaron Judge in New York. He is the perfect personality, Jeter-esque personality for New York. He is just the perfect New York Yankee. There was never a doubt in my mind he was going somewhere else. Even when the biggest clown on the face of the earth, Jon Heyman, reported him going to the Giants yesterday. Jon Heyman is the biggest clown on all of Twitter. I made a whole video about it. I'll link it. Maybe I'll put a card on it right here. I'm not sure, but anyways, Aaron Judge going back to the Yankees. Here's the report. It says Aaron Judge flew to San Diego last minute to decide among 3 teams: the Yankees, the Giants, which we knew. Apparently the Padres had an offer on the board too. The Padres have been really willing to spend money. They were clearly ready to offer Judge more money, and Trey Turner they offered more money to as well, but both of the free agents declined to go to San Diego in favor of other options. I don't know if they just didn't want to be associated with the Tatis Jr. steroid drama, or if they just didn't believe in the franchise, or what's going on, but the Padres haven't been able to land either of these big free agents they were in on, so we'll see what ends up happening. I'm sure they'll spend big elsewhere. They always seem to sign splashy free agents, but Aaron Judge back to the New York Yankees. What's there to say about Aaron Judge that you don't already know? He's the best at basically every offensive thing outside of strikeouts, but what are you going to do? There was a report that came out that he was given juiced baseballs in the second half last year, so his home run title is somewhat illegitimate. Whatever you guys think on that, let me know in the comments as well. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani was robbed of the 2022 AL MVP, but Judge is still an absolute beast. I love Aaron Judge. He's one of my favorite players. Honestly, probably my second or third favorite player in all of MLB. He's so fun to watch. He's a great guy. I saw him when he was on the Futures team back in 2015, and I looked at him. I was like, how could this guy not be the best hitter in baseball? He's 7 feet tall and can just crush dingers on a daily basis. So, love Aaron Judge. Very happy he got that bag. He bet on himself last year after the Yankees offered him a very small contract extension going into last season, and they offered him this much bigger one this offseason. All right, next up, we got Kenley Jansen signing a deal with the Boston Red Sox. 2 years, $32 million a year to be their closer. I would assume in that closer role, the Red Sox were pretty vocal about wanting to sign pitching this offseason, and as you can see, they got Kenley Jansen, Chris Martin, John Schreiber, Tanner Huck, Joely Rodriguez, and others to give Alex Cora to work with. So honestly, that Red Sox bullpen might be legit next year, and we know their team can hit. I would expect them to re-sign Xander Bogaerts as well, but I think he wanted to see that the front office was willing to build out a full roster before he signed with them, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. So I really like this deal for the Red Sox. Kenley Jansen's been a little shaky his last couple of years, but if you look at his stats, he's a borderline Hall of Famer. Probably should be a Hall of Famer if we're being real with ourselves, but closers, it's really hard for them to get into the Hall of Fame. So as you can see by his percentile rankings last year, he's pretty solid. solid. He still strikes out a lot of batters. He does have some trouble with command, though, so that's a little bit of an issue, and he's not quite throwing as hard as he used to, but his spin rates are really good. His extension's really good. He's not allowing hard hit balls, which is nice. So honestly, I do think this is a pretty good fit, and it just feels like he will look good in a Red Sox uniform. I could see him closing out Game 6 of the World Series against the Dodgers. That'd be pretty fun. So I do like Kenley Jansen going to the Red Sox, and that bullpen's going to be solid next year. All right, next up, we got Angels legend Jose Quintana going to the New York Mets. I am going to start not spending quite as much time on some of these. So Jose Quintana to the Mets, 2-year, $26 million contract, puts the Mets at a $298 million payroll. So Steve Cohen is getting taxed 90% of every dollar that he spends. He's currently has $34 million just in taxes towards the CBT. So Jose Quintana, okay, I guess, like, you know, can fix that. He was on the Angels and he was awful, and then somehow last year on the Pirates and Cardinals he was a pretty solid pitcher. So this is a good signing for the Mets, you know, build out a little bit of rotational depth. I think this is kind of a good replacement for Taijuan Walker. They're still looking to fill that hole that Chris Bassett left, though. So if you figure Justin Verlander replaces DeGrom, Quintana replaces Walker, you're really just looking for that third above average starting pitcher to fill in Chris Bassett's shoes, and then the Mets have a dirty rotation once again. So, and speak of the devil, Taijuan Walker signs a deal, 4 years, $72 million with the Philadelphia Phillies. I will be honest, I do not like this move. I do not like this move. I just don't like it. He just seems like a guy who's going to be awful with the Phillies. The Phillies are known, just like the Angels are known, for, you know, pitchers reaching their floor, not their ceilings, and Taijuan Walker's floor is not a pretty sight. So I really don't like this move. They need to sign a pitcher with high upside. I really don't think Taijuan Walker has that high upside. He can be, if they signed him to be their number 5, that's fine. But I don't know, man, $18 million a year for the next 4 years. I really don't like this move, I'll be honest. I don't think Taijuan Walker is going to have a good year next year, and then they're going to be on the hook for 3 more years of mediocre to below average starting pitching, and I really, really don't like this move. As far as the moves I've seen so far, this is my least favorite of them. And I would love for him to prove me wrong, but I just don't think he will. Next up, we got another relief pitcher deal for the Philadelphia Phillies. That is Matt Strahm going over on a 2-year, $15 million contract. Now, I just roasted the Phillies for their Taijuan Walker pickup, but I do really like this Matt Strahm pickup. He was injured last season, but he pitched 44 2/3 innings, 52 strikeouts. It's a pretty decent K rate right there. As you can see, he didn't pitch enough innings to qualify in most of the Savant stats in the last 2 years, honestly, but he was pretty solid back in 2020 in a shortened season. 2019, he wasn't the best, but I do really like what I've seen from him throughout his career, and I think if he's fully healthy with the Red Sox, or sorry, with the Philadelphia Phillies, I do think it could be a solid relief pitching option in the middle of their rotation, or their middle of their bullpen. So a nice little left-handed pitcher pickup for the Philadelphia Phillies, especially at that deal right there, 2 years, $15 million a year. That is a very, very nice price to pay for him, so I really, really like this deal for the Phillies. Next up, we got the Cubs coming in hot with a free agent pitcher signing of Jameson Taillon, 4 years, $68 million deal. It's okay. It's okay. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's a good, I guess I would lean towards the side of liking it. I don't think it's a bad contract by any means, but I don't think it's, you know, an absolute steal. I'm somewhere in the middle there, and I think this could be a good signing for the Cubs, whose pitching was pretty much a train wreck last year, especially their starting pitching. So I do like Taillon. I think he makes their rotation a little bit better. At Taillon's level, if a team like the Mets signed him, I would consider him like a number 5. But when it comes to the Cubs, it is such an upgrade from who they were using to pitch last season that I do think Taillon is a big upgrade for a team like the Cubs. So it does seem like a good signing to me. I'm kind of talking myself into it as I'm making this video here. So I do like Taillon. I think he's going to have a solid season over there in Chicago, and they got him for the next 4 years. So we'll see what happens. He's definitely shown some good upside at times. Next up, we got a legendary Angels killer heading over to the San Francisco Giants. That is Mitch Haniger heading to the Giants on a 3-year, $43.5 million contract. Now, I'm bad at math. Let me pull this out real quick. $14.5 million a year for a guy like Mitch Haniger. I really like this deal. I had to switch over there for a second. Mitch Haniger's a very solid batter, and he has been pretty much his whole career. I just know him as an Angel killer first and foremost, but He's a solid outfielder. He is a solid hitter. I think this is a really, really good pickup and a really underrated pickup. At that money, I would have honestly loved to see the Angels sign him for that much, but 14.5 a year is a absolute steal, and I'm very happy that the Giants got their guy. Unfortunately, it wasn't Aaron Judge, but I do think Mitch Haniger is a huge upgrade, and who knows, maybe he could be the first guy to hit 30 home runs in a Giants uniform in like the last 20 years or whatever it is. Someone posted the stat. I think it was Barry Bonds was the last guy to hit over 30 home runs in a Giants uniform. So Mitch Haniger gets a good little power bat to that Giants team. I really hope that he can stay healthy this year, because as much as I hated him killing the Angels in Seattle, I always respected his game. That guy was a stud. Next up, we got a former MVP signing a $17.5 million one-year deal with the Chicago Cubs and Cody Bellinger. I don't know what to say that hasn't been said already about Cody Bellinger. We know what he's capable of. Let's look at his 2019. We know what he's capable of. This is like Aaron Judge-esque. There were people comparing him to Mike Trout in 2019. There were people who thought this was the best player in all of baseball. And all of a sudden, he just fell off an absolute cliff. 2021, it was terrible. 2020, he was okay. 2021, he was terrible. In 2022, he was equally as terrible. He's still good defensively, so he's going to give you some value defensively. But if he could ever find just an ounce, if he could play 50% of how good he was back in 2019, that is a steal at $17.5 million. But I don't know what is wrong with him. He's got to fix something. And if he fixes it, watch out. The Cubs could be contenders if Cody Bellinger turns into 2019 Cody Bellinger once again. Next up, we got another Angels legend signing back in the AL West. That is Andrew Heaney getting a 2-year deal, $25 million a year, but he does have some incentives that could drive it up to $37 million total. So Andrew Heaney, what's there to say? Former Angel, of course, everybody who pitches for the Angels sucks. So if you look at his 2021 numbers, honestly, he wasn't the worst pitcher in the league, but he was pretty close to it when he signed with the Yankees. That might have been having to do with the juice baseballs, but basically his whole career has been untapped potential. We knew what he was capable of. I would watch him every season and say, maybe this is the year Andrew Heaney breaks out, and he just never did. And then, of course, he goes with the Dodgers, and all of a sudden, he's a strikeout master. He had a 3.1 ERA, 72 innings pitched. He did have some health issues, which is a bit of an issue, but I do really like his chances going over there with the Rangers, pairing him up with Jacob DeGrom, getting some good wisdom there. And they got some good young guys coming up, so Heaney could be a nice little staple in that rotation there with Martin Perez and Jacob DeGrom, and then, of course, all their stud rookies that are coming up. So I do like this signing for the Rangers, but for my sake, I hope it doesn't work out so the Angels can tee off on him. Next up, we got a really underrated signing here, and that is Tommy Kenley going back to the New York Yankees on a 2-year, $11.5 million contract. This might have the highest upside of any relief pitcher contract I've seen in the last 5 years. Tommy Kenley, I don't know if you guys remember, this is what Tommy Kenley's 2019 looked like. This is what Tommy Kenley is capable of. Tommy Kenley was an absolute beast. If you look at his numbers back in 2019, the dude was just an absolute stud for the majority of his career. If you go back to, 2018, 2017, he's had problems with staying healthy, but outside of that, he's been pretty much elite at everything he does. He just hasn't been able to put it together and stay healthy. So last year, he pitched in 12 2/3 innings for the Dodgers, 2.84 ERA, 14 strikeouts in those 12 innings. Honestly, I really think that he still has some left in the tank, and he was just coming back healthy, so I really like this signing for the Yankees. It's clear he wanted to go back to the Yankees, because that is an absolute steal. At $11.5 million for 2 years, that is just a absolute masterpiece by Brian Cashman there. So really, really, really like this signing. I think Tommy Kenley has what it takes to be a stud once again, and really make that Yankees bullpen elite as it has been. All right, and I really wish I had another source on this, but this is the only source I could find in a quick time frame. Josh Bell going to the Guardians, $33 million a year, $33 million for 2 years, and he also has a player option with an opt-out there. Josh Bell was interesting last season. He was really good with the Nationals for a little bit. And he's a former top prospect, so a solid switch hitting first baseman. We know what he's capable of doing. He just had a little bit of trouble staying consistent, as you can see by his Savant numbers here year in and year out. Savant numbers are not everything, by the way. I'm just using this as a general way to see what kind of player they're going to be getting. So I do really like this signing for the Guardians, and I'm very surprised to see the Guardians spending money in free agency. I'm pretty sure last year they spent $0, or they spent a league minimum contract on a backup catcher is the only move they made last offseason. So it's really good to see the Guardians spending money. They have so much money towards the salary cap. They could have signed Aaron Judge, Xander Bogaerts, Carlos Correa, Carlos Rodon, Cody Senga. They could literally have signed every top tier free agent and still not hit the luxury tax. So the fact that the Guardians made the postseason last year without spending any money in free agency, if the Guardians go out and get some dudes, watch out. They could be it could be an elite, like a top 2 team if they went out and spent money. But, you know, I don't know if this is the start of something new, as Troy and Gabriella said in High School Musical, or if this is just, you know, one of their random signings they make every once in a while. So Josh Bell to the Guardians. I like the move. I would like this to be the start of a great offseason for them, not the last move they make. All right, and we still have some free agents available, so I did want to go over those real quick. As I said, Wilson Contreras, by the time I post this video, he might officially be a Cardinal. It sounds like that's where he's wanted to go the entire time. So Wilson Contreras, I'm going to put him as not available. But Mike Zunino still available, 32 years old. Omar Narvaez is available. Gary Sanchez is available. Christian Vasquez, Jorge Alfaro, Tucker Barnhart, Kurt Casale. There's some solid options here. Even if you're just looking for a backup, there's some solid backup options. The Guardians have been linked to Mike Zunino. The Braves have been in on some of these guys. And there's some trade options like Sean Murphy there as well. First baseman, we already got some of the big ones out of the way, but Brandon Belt's still available. I would expect him to go back to the Giants. Yuli Gurriel, I just got a notification. Hold on. Okay, it's not official yet. Wilson Contreras still available. So Brandon Belt's still available. Yuli Gurriel, he's 39 years old, though he might retire. Jesus Aguilar still available. Miguel Sano, Harold Castro, Dom Smith, Yoshi Shitsugo. So there's definitely some options available there. Next up at second base, we got Gene Segura, Adam Frazier, who had some really good times out in Pittsburgh, but was a little bit rough with the Seattle Mariners last season. Josh Harrison's been up and down his whole career. Cesar Hernandez, Rougned Odor's been bouncing around a bit. VR had a rough season last year. Yu Chang. So there's some options there. Shortstops, we still have 3 of the biggest dominoes yet to fall here in Correa, Bogaerts, Swanson, but the second tier there would be Elvis Andrus, Jose Iglesias, and then I won't even talk about these last couple of guys here. Third base, we got Justin Turner, had a pretty solid season last year. He's always been a very consistently good bat there. Brandon Drury, I like his upside from last season. Jace Peterson, Evan Longoria. There's some solid options there. I've actually always liked Brian Anderson as a solid option. Duffy, Angels legend as well. Left field, not too stacked, but Joey Gallo, we've seen what he's capable of. 40-plus home run pop. Andrew Benintendi, a good contact guy there. Both not even in their 30s yet, so some solid options there. AJ Pollock's had his good years. David Peralta's been okay in the past. A couple of good options. Center field, Brandon Nimmo, of course, one of the key free agents, still yet to sign with anybody. Solid defense and a very solid bat there. Kevin Kiermaier, we know, plays elite defense. It's going to be weird if we see him outside of a Rays uniform, but I honestly think he might go back there. Not a whole lot else to be seen in that category there. Tim LaCastro got some good speed. Right fielders, Judge, of course, and Haniger both signed, so now what's left is Will Myers, Tyler Naquin, Michael Conforto, former top prospect. People used to think he was better than Aaron Judge, so he could be an option. Dexter Fowler, if he wants to come back. Stephen Piscotty was okay. Cole Calhoun, Angels legend, you never know. And then a couple of DH bats. JD Martinez still hasn't signed. Michael Brantley still hasn't signed. Matt Carpenter was pretty good last year. Andrew McCutcheon, some teams have been linked to him, and a couple of other solid guys. So, okay, that was a lot of information. I appreciate y'all bearing with me if you stuck through to the end. So let me know what you guys think of these free agent acquisitions. I like pretty much all of them. There was only a couple in there that I'm not a huge fan of, and some of them have really good upside. So it's been a crazy week in the offseason. Let me know what you guys think down below. Don't forget to leave a like on the video and check out Thrive Fantasy at the link in my description. Subscribe for more daily MLB content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I hope you have a great rest of your day.